the pot.
The pot.
Hello. Today, big pleasure. Zebo Adam, our famous producer. Good old friend.
Yeah, good old friend. Sounds much better than famous producer.
No, I'm really glad that you are here. A long time we planned it.
Yeah.
You are so busy.
Yeah, I'm so...
Which is good.
It's nice that you can see it this way.
Yeah, now let's begin. Where should we start? Yes, we start. You started as a guitar player.
Yeah, I started as a guitar player. I played in the same band as yourself, in the band of my father.
So, I remember.
Yeah, there is something to remember. So we go a long way back.
The Hallucination Company.
Hallucination Company, yeah. And I started, I think with 13, I get my first guitar and I played. But I think when I get my first guitar, I also get my first 4-tape recording. It was, back in the days, it was really with
little
the tapes.
Machine, yes.
With the tapes. And besides of playing guitar in bands, I always recorded friends and I always recorded myself. And with the guitar players, I like most, it's people like Adrian Belew, Robert Fripp, David Gilmour, Brian May, Jimi Hendrix. I think these are all guitar players who are just great when they pick up the guitar, but they are also great to make the guitar work in a studio environment. Mm-hmm. And as we spoke before, I think it's really different if you just play a loud guitar in a rehearsing room or if you record guitars.
Yes, it is.
And after a while, I started producing bands in a professional way. I quit my own band, I quit my own music. Mm-hmm. And now I think the last 6 or 7 years, I'm only working as a producer. Yeah. And I don't see myself anymore as a guitar player, but I see myself as someone who loves music, who wants to record music in the studio. And I think it's a good thing that you can switch between, you can see music always from the point of view of a single instrument. And I think it's really important when you're a guitar player, you have to see music from the point of view of a guitar player. But music at the end of the day is more than guitars.
It's all together, yes.
It's all together.
And that's a great gift for, I always admired producers, because it's not only that you have to know about something like where is the money and checking the dates, but you have to have a good feeling to the band, which is very important. I remember we did one job together in the days where you recorded in my studio. Ashley with the band Whispers in the Shadow. They are still around. I think we have now 20 years or 25 years anniversary. We're really getting one. Yes. It was a cool experience for me, because I recognized your way of working with these guys, or with this guy. I think you were closest to the singer.
We are close.
And that's a big talent. And I think that's also happening with Bilderbuch, for instance.
Yeah, with Bilderbuch and with all the bands I'm working with. And what's really helpful is, I played guitar myself for 15 years, really. I rehearsed every day, I practiced every day. But I was always interested, and with the Hallucination Company, because Wickel is the gang leader of the Hallucination Company, so I was always confronted with, okay, it's not only your position as a guitar player, it's also, okay, what's the position of the drum player, what's the position of the keyboard player? Because everybody has its own problems, everybody has his own point of view, and as a producer, I think it's really helpful when you can put yourself in the shoes of the other guys. And to understand, okay, what is important for a guitar player? Mm-hmm. Why is it for some people so important to have real amps, as we have here? Why are there players who don't give a fuck about it, who say, okay, as long as there's something coming out? And both sides can be good guitar players, and it's also with drums and keyboards and with all of that.
But I have the feeling there is a little difference between your approach to producing. Not only that you are a guitar player, but you love rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's I don't want to to say anything bad about Austrian producers,
Yeah.
Which are normally little Mozarts.
Yeah.
Okay, that maybe we cut this out later. But wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
So your approach to Bilderbuch, I wasn't there,
Yeah.
but I can imagine that it was when they began, they were younger.
Yeah, they were really young.
And I think you did a lot, putting your knowledge and experience in the sound structure of this band.
Yeah. I mean, Maurice, the singer, said once in an interview, and I think it's a really nice compliment when I think about it, because he said, the reason my input is not that Bilderbuch is sounding like it sounds, it's more like how they work and how they think. And that's one thing we spoke before, that there is no good and bad music. It's a lot of taste, and I think we have the same taste when it came to guitar, and other people have a completely different taste. I mean, we know that we are a little bit more right than the rest, but that's another story. But I think it really helps me to step back from seeing it only through the guitar and seeing the whole music. I really understand there is no right or wrong. Because the only thing you have to try to achieve is to make it work. And I mean, it's when you're working with, for me, it's always AC/DC is a really good example for an artist and a band and musician who really know who they are and what they want and what is important for them. And they decided we don't want to make any changes, because that's what we
have to stop
are.
it in place, because we have to tell Tom about AC/DC. I think he doesn't know this band very well. No, he's the biggest fan on earth. No, we all know this, but there are other bands or singer-songwriters who don't have a band at all. Right? So also for this, you have to put something together which fits for the whole concept.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting job about the producer is, in my philosophy, how I approach productions is not to have an opinion before what is right or what is wrong, but more to get a picture of who is the artist, what are his talents, what are the things he's not good at, and how can we achieve to bring him. It's like you making light on a stage. You try to make you try to highlight the great things that happening, and all the stuff that's not important. You try to just let it in the shadows. And I think that is really important, and that you can also crack it down to guitar playing. It's like when we look at the great guitar players, I mean, we are both big fans of David Gilmour. David Gilmour would never play anything fast. And the reason, and I don't think that the reason is that he cannot play it. The reason is that's not his cup of tea. It's not him. And that's the great thing about David Gilmour, and why he's still such an unbelievable great guitar player, because he knows exactly what he's good at, and who knows exactly what other people can do better than him.
Yeah, but there are these cases where I'm not sure about, because let's talk about, for instance, the Beatles. When they began to record, they were really young.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I think George Martin did a lot of maybe you should not try this because you are overdoing something. I'm sure, because I can't imagine that George Harrison didn't sometimes try to. I also can do something like who else? I don't know who was in these days the guitar hero.
Yeah.
If they wanted him, they get him in the studio.
To get him in the studio. And
Captain played my favorite song.
Yeah, Captain played, but I think the Beatles are a good example for. I think you have always to remember that everything you do has a price. You cannot be the biggest pop band in the world and then say, yeah, but I want to play freaky guitar solos.
Yeah.
I mean, they played freaky guitar solos, but it took a long way. The first thing they had to do is to establish themselves, and they were a pop band. And I think George Martin, we were not there. We can only assume what happened, but I think what they did was like, okay, our first step is we have to establish what we are really good at. And the Beatles were really good at playing and writing unbelievable good pop songs. And I think Ringo Starr as a drummer is a good example. I mean, Ringo Starr is really not the best drummer in the world, but I don't think there would be anybody who could done it better for the Beatles.
Iconic beats. He invented iconic beats. Yeah.
And I mean this, and also George Harrison. I think he's an unbelievable great guitar player. But I think at the Beatles, the song was always more important than the instruments.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's one thing you cannot. And when you think about King Crimson, where you have the feeling, okay, the instruments and the music is more important as the song. Both ways are working. There's no. But when you want to become the biggest pop band in history, and I think that's what they tried to achieve, and they achieved it. You cannot make records with
your ego hanging out.
Yeah, with your ego hanging out. That's not working, and I think that's really, really important to know what you want, what you're good at.
And the producer's job to tell them if they are wrong, maybe they are on a little bit wrong way.
Yeah.
In a way that there is no hassling and
hopefully, but I mean, it can be a really struggle. It can get loud. It can get really emotional.
Yeah, which is good. We are humans.
Yeah, we are humans, and my argument when we are fighting in the studio, and when I have an opinion, and when I think this is really important that we do that, then I'm really prepared to fight for it. And when it's necessary to get loud, and when it's necessary to go on confrontation with somebody, but my argument is always, it's not important for me that my opinion is the right opinion. But I have the feeling when you're making music, you must do something for it, and you have to fight for it. And when you have to have emotions, and emotions can be, this is so great, but emotions can also be, I'm so depressed that it's so horrible and nothing is working. And I think that's one of the producer's job, is to make to find a way to make it clear to the artist that this is really, 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 really not easy what we are doing. This is that's nothing you cannot go to some school and then you know how to make music. That's not how it works. It's a big mysterium. It's a lot of hard work. As you know, I mean, the Hallucination Company was famous for the rehearsings you did, for the time you spent, for the work you did.
Yeah, and we haven't been in these days famous for recording.
Yeah, no, it was not. It was more live thing.
We didn't do it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But, and I think it's really important to understand that all our heroes and all the great records and all the great guitar players we hear and we enjoy, they didn't fall from the sky.
No, they gave everything.
They gave everything. And rock and roll for me is to be prepared to give everything.
Absolutely.
And it's not a matter of how much distortion grunge has your sound. It's
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But that's the second part. But I think the really important thing is what's happening in your heart and your head and your mind. And I think that's the difference between I say, mainstream music and rock and roll music is. Mainstream is more like you go, it should be nice, it should be just, you should feel comfortable.
Don't bother anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But rock and roll means to have your own opinions, to have your own way of life, stand to it, respect that other people have other ways in life. And I think that's something that's, and then for me it's not important if a record has 100 guitars or one guitar. Rock and roll, or what I think, what I search for in music, can be more found, starts in the heart and the mind, and then transfer to guitar strings, to all the pedal boards, to all the amps. But you have to have this inner compass. Always, you have to have this inner feeling. When does it feel right?
That's it. But let's talk a little bit about some bands or singers you worked with in the last few years.
I just came out of a production I did with a female vocalist and guitar player from New Zealand. She's called Teresa Bergman. She's now living in Berlin, and we just recorded and finished an album. We're just in the mastering process now. And this is really old school 70s styles, Johnny Mitchell, Carole King style. And she came, it's very interesting because she came from the acoustic guitar, because she played a lot of years on the street, make a living just playing. And now she's changed some songs to the electric guitars, and we also booked a studio musician, a guy who wrote the string arrangements and also played very great Beatles guitars in the studio. That's one thing I did. I mean, at the beginning of 2018, I worked with an unbelievable, talented artist from Switzerland. The project is called Seal and Edor, and it's a mixture of black death metal mixed with gospel and blues, because he has mixed parents. His mother is an African American from Harlem. His father is from Switzerland, so he has the Swiss exactheit, precision, but he has the soul and blues of the African Americans. And this was a really great production. It was really, really heavy guitars, heavy drums, double bass, and all this stuff. But over all this, he sings gospel, blues, and soul chants, and that's very interesting. And of course, as you already mentioned, I worked the last 10 years. One of the biggest things I worked with, most intense things, was the band Bilderbuch. I mean, we did 4 recordings together. The guys just released in November, and I think now in February, an album. That's the first thing since 10 years I didn't work with them. And that's also a very interesting learning process, because I mean, we really started from zero together and built everything together. And after 4 records, the guys said, we want to have another a different working environment. And I think it's a really wise thing for an artist because in the last 10 years I worked with so many different people, but the guys never worked with somebody else. So there is no bad blood, and I wish them just the best of luck. And we are really good friends, and it's great what they are doing. But yeah, that was one of the main things. And you know Fire, Alex Thoman Fire, he's one of my best buddies. He's my working colleague. We did everything in the last 10 years.
He's the guy more on the technical part.
Yeah. We have this classical, when we look at the CD, it stands like mixed by Alex Fire Thoman, produced by Zebo Adam. But at the end of the day, I also know how to turn knobs, and he knows how to produce. But we know we have our... He is better on the technical side, and I'm maybe better on producing. And it's always, when we two work together, it's hopefully best of both worlds. And we did all the Bilderbuch stuff together, and this is a big learning process. And as I told you before, it's very important for me to make different music. I also recorded in the last years some records without any guitar, especially the band Johann Sebastian Bach. They were also nominated for the Eurovision Song Contest. Maybe you know them. I did the first album with them, and I have to admit it was such a lovely thing. That I don't have to record guitars, because I recorded guitars all my life, and it can be really, really frustrating when you say, okay, you can turn the microphone maybe a little bit, and I think that's the problem when the guitar is the instrument I came from. I was a guitar player, so
you still are.
Yeah, I'm still are, hopefully, but I don't see myself as a professional guitar player anymore. And I think it's really when you're a guitar player, you hear and see music always as the point of view from the guitar player, and this can be a really good thing, but it can also limit yourself. And for me, to make a record working which has no guitars is a really interesting thing to do, because how to make guitars work, I know, but how can you, as someone who loves guitars and loves this rock and roll lifestyle and this rock and roll philosophy, how can you transform it into a production where there's no guitars? Because the thing is, you don't need to record guitars to record guitars.
I know what you mean.
Because it's more a spirit thing than a really practical thing.
And it worked out.
It worked out, and I mean, there are great guitar players. I mean, especially Moog players who maybe sometimes play better guitar solos than guitar players.
Okay.
No. But what I mean is that the spirit of the guitar can not only be found in a guitar.
That's true.
And I think we cannot. I think the electric guitar is one of the most important instruments that have ever been built. Because I mean, it's not only an instrument; it's really a symbol of.
It's a sword. It's a weapon. It's the sword of the night.
Yeah, it's a sword. Yeah, that's
the way to see it in the rock and roll.
Yeah, and I think when you played 15, 20 years guitar, I think it's okay to put the guitar in a second place, but still you know exactly how it should feel.
And somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Also in these bands where no guitar is, if there is a fight, somebody has to do the fight. And for hundreds of years, we lived very, very well without guitars. It was 70 trombones or something, which is also not bad. But we all know that the sound of the guitar made it for the last, for the beginning of rock and roll.
Yeah, and for me nowadays, sometimes I feel, I mean, it's a very provocative thing to say, but sometimes I feel that the hip hop, the really good hip hop artists, they carry for me the spirit of rock and roll, and when I see a lot of guitar bands today, they are just boring because it's just like so. Yeah, I have seen a guitar on a picture somewhere, and I ordered from some mail order. And then when I buy a guitar, you don't become rock and roll by only buying a guitar.
Buying a guitar, no.
And that's one thing I think. Maybe we've missed something in the last 10, 15 years because people think rock and roll is only playing guitar. But
no, that's not
I don't
true.
think that's true.
But let's talk a little bit about this nerdy part of it. So you told me in the first place, you have your go-to distortion boxes when it comes to... first of all, you also like Marshalls.
Yeah, I love Marshalls. I mean, my basic setup at home is I have a really good plexi. I have a GCM 800, I have a Vox
AC30, yes.
And I have really an old Mesa Boogie rectifier from the 80s when they were, I mean, they look horrible, but they sound great. And I think this is my basic setup to have really good
amps,
sounding guitar amps who have a life by their own. I mean, my AC30, it once belongs to Uli Beer, I think. It's from 1967 or so. It's a really old amp, and he do whatever he wants to do, but he has so much soul and character. And I mean, you have to have a good guitar, you have to have a good amp, but then I think I'm a really pedal nerd. I love, it's one of my hobbies to buy pedals, and I think when it comes to distortion, in every session I go, I always take my distortion pedals with me, because I know.
And your go-to distortion pedal is in this case the Black Star.
Yeah, my go-to is for sure the Black Star, because this is really, it's just
it's very versatile. It has many knobs, a tube inside.
It is very versatile, but the most important thing for me is no matter how much or how less distortion I use, it always sounds natural, and it has a natural quality. Because when it comes to distorted guitars, there are two ways to go. It's the one way is to go just freaky and do something weird, but the other thing is you have to have there is a really difference between a good, and I think the important word is the quality of the distortion. And that's the thing about these old amps we spoke before. They are the quality we are used to. There is a reason why Marshall is still used.
And this kind of amps.
Because these old amps, because they are really well-built, high-quality amps. And with these high-quality amps, you can do everything.
Nothing is forbidden.
Yeah, and that's the really important thing for me to have really with the Black Star. And then I have a Zen clone. I'm not willing to pay 2,000 euros for a distortion pedal. I just bought it on eBay, I think for 90 euros.
It's something like this medium overdrive.
Yeah.
It's a Zen drive.
Yeah, it's a Zen drive.
It's a copy of the Zen drive.
It's a copy of a Zen clone.
Okay, yeah.
And for me, it's always because, especially my Vox RC30 has a drive channel. They get rid of the tremolo channel and made I have a drive knob on it,
I see.
but the distortion kinds of. So what I like to do is to make the amps really clean, just on the brink of getting into distortion, so they are just hot, but not screaming. And then you have, when I want modern distortion or more, when you have stuff like that, just power chords. I think the Black Star, and you can have less of this. This is kind of.
But that's still a combination of both of the.
Yeah, that's my mistake. When we have just the Black Star.
That's a crunch.
Or I can make more of it. And with the Zen clone, it's more like you have a.
That's clean.
That's clean, and then that just.
That's the.
It's still kind of clean, but. And I think it's easier for me to work with the pedals than with the amp. And then I always have with me some kind of fuzz.
A fuzz, yeah.
And I really like the Flamingo fuzz. I also bought it on eBay, I think for 100 euros. I don't know if it's self-built or something, because this is. Yeah, because I think with the distortion you have kind of this more, you have power chord distortion,
cranked amp
crank
distortion.
amp.
Yeah.
You have more this bluesy distortion, and then you have a fuzz distortion. I think,
We
and
all
I mean,
love fuzzes.
yeah, that's no secret what I'm telling you, but I think it's good to know your basics.
That's it. Yeah.
And the basic is, it's good to have played on Fender guitars. It's good to have played on Gibson guitars.
With some
all
humbucker.
this- yeah,
But you have a what humbucker is this?
it's a Seymour Duncan.
Yeah, but what is this a very strong one?
I think it's just a normal one.
Okay.
It's no special.
No high.
No,
very
it's
high
no.
output.
It's more like the standard rock. Because I mean, I bought this guitar in 90. This is my main guitar.
Yeah,
and
you had it forever.
I have it for. I bought it back in 1970 from Willy Bauer, who was the Fender distribution in Austria, and especially when I played live and I played many gigs, I always played with the same guitar. Because when I'm on the stage, the guitar just have to work.
Has to work.
I don't have the. I never had the feeling that it's important when I go on tour to have 10 guitars with me and change it from song to song.
Yeah.
I mean, just because it's just unpractical.
It's
Unpractical.
maybe if you are a very rich,
when
you
you're
have your assistant.
When you are Lenny Kravitz, then it's easy, but it has a lot to do with money and logistics.
That's it. Yeah.
But when I'm in the studio, I think, so for me it's really important to have one guitar where I know I can trust her. No matter what's gonna happen, we will find a way. And this is also with my, so this is my basic setup with the amps, the guitars, the pedals. I know it will work. There are some things that we can.
And as I know, you are also very in experimenting with delays and reverbs.
Yeah, I love it.
And every octave. What is this?
I mean, that's one of the secret weapons.
The Porg, yeah. I have the mini. The mini.
Yeah, I think in the
great.
last 5 years there were. I don't think there is any production where I didn't use it, and when it's just for a little part, because I think this is really one of the pedals that inspires you. For me, it's important. The distortion pedals are not here to inspire me.
No,
they are here to make their job.
The fundament.
Yeah, the fundament. But stuff like this is really, you can try something. You can free your head and so okay, good sounds, and a lot of the times you try something with it and at the end you don't use it, but when you use it, it always is really, really great. And also is for me the carbon copy maybe. This is, I mean,
which we all love. It's a very good, very warm analog sounding box.
This is really, really a great thing. Christian Hochmuth, who is one of the main guys at Klangfarbe, just told me one day, I think you have to buy it. And it was like, and whenever I play live, it's with me because I know, it will gonna work. It sounds great. And I think I really like all of these pedals, and I really like to play with them. And that's one. And I mean, we talked before about it. I think it's really important to find tools you like to work with. And we are two guys who like to sit in front of amps like this.
Yes.
We like to have these things we can turn around. And I mean, there are other guys who don't have the need to turn any knobs. They are happy with the laptops and the guitar.
The new generation.
It's a new and I think it's
It's okay. Why not?
Whatever brings you through the night.
That's it.
As you say, I don't think there is right and wrong, and I think this is also one important thing about working in the studio with guitar players and working with them as a producer to find out which setup fits the way they play.
Bringing the best out of them.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most important job of as a producer is how can I empathize the good things in an artist? How can I find where their talent is? What is really the core of them? What is important? Because when you have a good guitar sound, you like to play. You play a different guitar. It's
And
not.
I tell you, you do it very good.
Thank you.
You proved it already. I'm such a big fan of Bilderbuch.
No,
And also of the guitar player of Bilderbuch. And I'm sure he listened a lot to you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, with Mike, the guitar player of Bilderbuch, it's really interesting because the last, I think the last 5 years, his live setup was Fender Hot Rod and a lot of pedal boards
big
and his main guitar. But in the studio, we mostly worked with stuff like guitar rig and stuff like this. Because for him, and that's one thing we really share, it was like life is life and studio is studio. And it has a lot to do about the workflow you work in. On the stage, it's really important for him, and it was also always for me to have really a real amp behind me. I never worked with in-ears live because for me, I have to hear my guitar sound.
And feel it a little bit.
Yeah, because only then I can play the best guitar when I'm sure my sound is working. And for me, and only for me, it was really, really necessary. No headphones and just to have the guitar.
Yeah, sure.
But
for me,
I'm-
I'm older, but also old guys are using in-ear.
Yeah.
I can't.
But when-
sorry, I don't have the experience with it that I have to say. Maybe there is some possibility that it's also working with in-ears and a combination of maybe. But for me, now I would say no way.
I think the thing is, when you work with in-ear live, you have to have a really, really good monitor guy.
True, yeah, sure.
And that was also, we didn't have an own monitor technician with us. So it was always for me, maybe in-ear could work, but when the amp is just standing there and I hear what's coming out, then I can control it. But when I have in-ears, I don't know, is the problem the amp or is the problem the sound guy? Because I don't know the sound guy. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not good. No, I don't want to rely on that. It's so, and I mean, when we're talking about Mike from Bilderbuch, and I think he's really one of the great guitar player of his generation.
He combines it so well. It's not only the experimental part of it, but then in between a few bars, he lets out some really cool, really rock and roll licks. And they are, I'm a fan.
And I think the thing about him is, and that's one thing we spoke a lot about, it is you have to think on one side as a guitar player and really know your stuff, know how to tune a guitar, what's the right strings for your guitar, what's the pedals you using, what amp you're using. But then you have to switch and see the whole music and say, where is my place? And as a really active guitar player who has really something to say, how can I find my place in the music? And when you think about the great guitar players like Angus Young, David Gilmour, or how they are called, they always find, I mean, the reason I started to play guitar was of Slash, of Guns N' Roses. I mean, he's one of my greatest heroes. And I always had the feeling they are such great, strong personalities and such strong guitar players, but it was not only, there is this great guitar player, it's always, wow, this is this great band with these great songs and they have a great guitar player. When I think about Pink Floyd, it's just, Pink Floyd make unbelievable great music, and they have an unbelievable great guitar player. But it's always the music first.
And also we have to say that a good guitar player invents iconic riffs, which is a very important job for a guitar player. For the good ones.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most important things to say is a good guitar player is like a vocalist, I think. He plays something you can sing, and not in a pop way, but I mean, how many complicated solos we can sing along, because they are great melodies.
That's it.
And yeah.
Okay, they are the shredders. That's a different story.
That's a different story.
But in this, I agree totally.
Yeah.
For me, that's my, there are a few guys who influenced me. They are all these kind of guitar players who sang through their guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Which what I did.
Yeah, I know.
I don't sing. Don't know why I don't sing. I don't want to sing because I'm singing with the guitar. Yeah. I'm not the chord guy. Yeah. I'm the singer. Yeah. When it's my turn to sing.
When it's your turn.
And the other way is inventing riffs for a song, which I miss a little bit nowadays. Yeah. There are bands who make still very good music and are good sounding, but where are the riffs? What would be the Stones, the Beatles, what would be the 80s, the 90s, which are these iconic riffs we all remember and love so much.
I mean, one band I really like is Rage Against the Machine with Tom Morello, the guitar player.
Yeah, he's one of these guys.
When we're speaking about riffs, I mean, you hear a Rage Against the Machine riff, and you can sing it along because they are really great riffs. Or Jack White is also a guy.
He's one of the younger, sure.
Who has this. But I'm also a big fan of people like, as I told you, Robert Fripp and Adrian Belew. And also I'm thinking about The Edge from U2, who are really come from the sound stuff. But they also
iconic riffs.
Yeah,
iconic
riffs.
What would be U2 without Edge riffs? No?
Yeah, but the great thing about The Edge is that he exactly knows that without his delays, his riffs are not working.
No, that's part of his
that's
sound,
the thing. And I just saw a really interesting interview with him where he explained that playing with delays is like to have a conversation with himself, because he plays something, the delay responds, and then he responds to it. And it's like, I know there are some purists out there, so but that's not real. It's so.
I think
it's bullshit. What is real is when you do something you really believe in. And I think about all the people we speak, and it's not only the big guys like David Gilmour. It's also somebody like Mike from Bilderbuch. He really believes in what he's doing. He's really fighting for it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of self-reflection, a lot of passion. It's not always easy.
That's
but
how it should be.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah.
So I think we could talk for hours.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe we do it afterwards. But now we have to say goodbye because Tom has to cut the stuff. Sorry, we cut this. A frog in my throat. In the link below we have some more of your boxes, and please look at the things Zebo produced in the last many years. It's not important enough to tell that it should be more knowledge in our country, what important guys we have in the background. I don't want to say background. But you only have the singers there and the pop stars, and that's it. They are very important people working.
Thank you.
Was a pleasure. And
me too. I hope not the last time.
No. Maybe we have sometimes a little bit more music in our. But now today we had a little bit more discussion.
Yeah.
Please buy our BIBL ROCKS T-shirt. It's very well looking.